This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of Pod Nation Media Network.
Welcome to Business Conversations with Pi PIET 2.0, where the advice is real, but the voices are AI. I'm Scoob, and we're harnessing cutting-edge artificial intelligence to tackle real-world business challenges and deliver actionable strategies you can implement right now. Joining us is our newest AI voice, Piet, sharp, insightful, and ready to challenge conventional wisdom. The questions are real, the data is vast, and the insights game-changing. So buckle up, Scoob believers. It's time to get across the start line. Let's dive in.
So, Brian Chesky, the co-founder of Airbnb, he has this incredibly famous piece of advice that, it almost sounds backwards when you first hear it.
Right, the 100 people quote.
Exactly. He says, it is much better to have 100 people who absolutely love your product than 1 million people who just sort of like it.
Which is super counterintuitive.
It really is. And today, we are breaking down exactly how you find those first 100 fanatics. And more importantly, we're going to look at why doing things that completely and spectacularly fail to scale is actually, the only reliable way to build a company that eventually scales.
Yeah, it's the ultimate paradox of building a startup, I think.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants the 1 million users, right? But the mechanisms that get you to 1 million are completely useless for getting your first 10.
Right.
You basically have to operate with 2 completely different rule books.
And navigating that transition between rule books is exactly our mission for this deep dive, because we are tackling a question submitted directly by a listener.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, they wrote in from tuepodcast.net/askpi. And the question is brilliantly simple, but honestly, it's the thing that keeps every founder awake at night.
Let's hear it.
They ask, where and how do I find my very first 10 to 100 customers?
Oh, man, that is the $1 million question, literally.
Right. So to answer this, we're pulling from a massive stack of playbooks. We've got the B2B sales strategies over at Close, some deep-cut insights from the Y Combinator startup library.
Which are always gold.
Always. Plus growth mechanics from NYU's Entrepreneurial Institute, and the tactical breakdowns of growth experts like Lenny Rachitsky.
Perfect, because those first 100 customers really are the hardest you will ever have to earn.
Yeah.
When you have 0 brand awareness, 0 social proof, and a product that is inevitably just full of bugs, you are asking for an immense amount of trust.
Just a huge leap of faith from them.
Exactly, but they are the absolute bedrock of everything that follows. They aren't just early revenue. They're the feedback loop that dictates whether your company actually survives its first year.
Okay, so before we can talk about the mechanics of how to extract these people from the ether, we have to establish who we are actually looking for.
Right. You can't find something if you don't know what it looks like.
Exactly. And looking at the data from the NYU Entrepreneurial Institute, the most common trap for a new founder is casting a wide net. They launch a landing page trying to appeal to the widest possible demographic.
Which makes sense emotionally, right? You want everyone to buy it.
Right. But the framework here suggests you should exclusively be hunting for, quote-unquote, innovators. And just to be clear, when we say innovators in this context, we aren't just talking about early adopters who like shiny objects, right?
No, not all.
We're talking about a specific threshold of pain.
Yeah, exactly. What's fascinating here is the psychology behind why someone actually buys an unproven product. An innovator in this model is someone experiencing a pain point so acute, so incredibly disruptive to their daily workflow or life that they are actively desperate for a solution.
Like they're pulling their hair out over this problem.
Yes. They are willing to take a massive chance on an unknown startup's deeply flawed, half-finished product. They simply do not care that your website looks terrible or that your app crashes every Tuesday.
Right, because the baseline pain of their everyday problem is just significantly worse than the friction of adopting your early-stage software.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the Notion case study from the sources perfectly illustrates this mechanism.
Oh, that's a great example.
When Notion launched, they were stepping into a totally crowded market of productivity tools. If they had targeted generic office workers, they would have been absolutely crushed by Microsoft or Google.
Oh, totally destroyed.
Right. But instead, they targeted highly tech-savvy power users who were intensely frustrated by having their notes in Evernote their tasks in Trello, and their databases in messy spreadsheets.
Yeah, they went after people whose mental models were just too complex for simple tools.
Exactly. Or look at Brooklinen in the direct-to-consumer space. They didn't target everyone who sleeps.
Right, which is a big market.
Yeah. They zeroed in on young, urban professionals who desperately wanted luxury bedding but were entirely priced out of high-end department stores. Plus, they preferred the zero-friction experience of just buying online.
And in both of those examples, the companies identified a highly specific subset of the population with an undeniable existing frustration. I mean, they didn't have to convince these people that they had a problem. They only had to present the solution.
But I have to push back here because this sounds great in theory, but, reality is messy.
It is.
It's like trying to date everyone in a city versus going to a highly specific meetup for people who obsess over the exact same weird hobby you love.
That's a perfect way to put it.
But wait, by narrowing the focus so much on day one, aren't you choking off potential early revenue? I mean, if you're bootstrapping and have maybe 3 months of runway, turning away a paying customer just to maintain this target market purity feels like entrepreneurial suicide.
It's a brutal tension. And you're right, sometimes you just have to take the cash to keep the servers running. But what's fascinating here is if we connect this to the bigger picture of product development, you have to mentally categorize that revenue.
What do you mean?
Well, if you go broad and optimize for generic cash flow, your feedback loop shatters.
Okay.
Imagine you have 10 customers. 2 are using your tool for accounting, 3 are using it for marketing, and 5 are using it for HR.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Right. When you ask them what feature to build next, you will get 10 completely conflicting answers. You won't be building a cohesive product. You'll be building a Frankenstein monster that eventually serves no one well.
So it's not just about marketing efficiency. It's about preserving the clarity of the product roadmap.
Precisely. If you have 10 customers who share the exact same acute pain point, their feedback is like a laser beam. They will tell you exactly what you need to build to get to 20 customers and then 50.
Wow.
Your initial target customer doesn't have to be your permanent market. They're just the beachhead.
Right.
You secure that tiny, highly specific territory first, establish your operations, and then you expand outward into adjacent markets.
That makes the why incredibly clear. So let's shift gears to the how. We know our ideal customer. They are in pain, and they need what we have. How do we physically go out and get the first 10 of them?
Right, the execution part.
Because the recurring theme across the Y Combinator library and these growth playbooks is this concept of doing things that completely fail to scale.
Yes. This is the era of brute force, the by any means necessary stage. And Steliefti, the co-founder of the CRM platform Close, he uses a brilliant analogy to explain why founders struggle here.
Well, the Apollo 13 one. Right?
Yes. So in the movie Apollo 13, the astronauts are in a literal life or death crisis in space, dealing with failing oxygen and power. And at one point, someone starts worrying about the heat shield for their re-entry into Earth's atmosphere, and the commander shuts it down immediately, saying there are 1,000 things that have to happen in order for us to survive. We are on number 8. You're talking about number 692.
I love that so much. So worrying about how a marketing strategy will scale to 10,000 users when you currently have less than 10 is literally a trap.
It paralyzes founders. I mean, they spend weeks setting up automated email funnels and tweaking Facebook ad campaigns when they don't even know if their core value proposition resonates.
They're building the heat shield.
Exactly. For those first 10 customers, your primary goal is not actually revenue. Your primary goal is raw insight. Steliefti shared the story of how he got his own first 7 B2B customers for a business that hadn't even written a single line of code yet.
Wait, really? No code at all?
None. He went on to Crunchbase, filtered for startups that had literally just announced a seed funding round, and he just cold called the founders. Because newly funded startups suddenly have capital and a mandate from their investors to grow fast, which means all their operational pain points are instantly magnified.
Exactly. He leveraged that specific timing. He pitched his solution over the phone, and 7 of them agreed to pay.
That's wild.
And is cold calling startups one by one a scalable business model for a software company? Absolutely not. You will eventually run out of hours in the day.
Right.
But it bypassed the need for marketing infrastructure and generated immediate, visceral feedback on his pitch.
And we see this manual, unglamorous grind everywhere in the sources. Paul Graham from Y Combinator tells founders to get the word in before you try to get the word out.
Oh, I love that phrasing.
Yeah, starting with friends and colleagues. Look at LinkedIn's version 1's launch. It was completely reliant on the founders inviting their own professional networks one by one.
Or Sander Daniels at Thumbtack. Before they had a massive two-sided marketplace, he manually scraped the email addresses of local service professionals from random websites and then manually emailed them job leads just to convince them to sign up for his platform.
Literally doing the work by hand.
But let's play out a very common scenario.
Well,
What if my friends and colleagues aren't in my target market at all? Say you're building a specialized inventory tool for dentists, and you don't know a single dentist.
that is a very real hurdle, and it's where we can lean on the direct outreach data from WorthBuild.
Okay.
If you do not have a warm network, you must manufacture one through highly targeted cold outreach. But it's about the mechanics of how you do it. According to their metrics, if you spend the time to identify 50 highly specific potential customers on LinkedIn,
So people who perfectly match that acute pain profile.
exactly, and you send them deeply personalized messages offering early access or a free trial, you can expect a 10 to 20% response rate.
Wait, a 20% response rate on a cold message? Most cold emails get a fraction of a percent. Why is the rate so high here?
Because of the hyper-personalization and the psychological framing, you aren't sending an automated blast from a generic company account. You are a founder reaching out founder to professional saying, I have studied your specific business, I see this exact inefficiency, and I have built a prototype to fix it.
That would make sense.
It leverages the social proof of your professional profile and speaks directly to their pain. And out of those responses, the data shows you can expect a 5 to 10% conversion rate.
So, doing the math on that, you research and individually message 50 absolute strangers, and that manual grind yields roughly 3 to 5 early customers.
Right.
You do that brutal, tedious grind twice, and you have your first 10 customers. It requires $0 in marketing budget. It just requires an immense tolerance for rejection and the willingness to trade your time for those initial relationships.
Exactly. You are manually turning the flywheel until the engine catches.
Okay, but this brings us to the next massive threshold. Through sheer willpower, you secured your first 10 users. You've learned from them, you've refined the product. But doing that manual one-by-one outreach for 100 people, that will lead to total burnout.
Oh, absolutely.
There has to be a lever you can pull.
Yeah.
How do we transition from 10 to 100 without, going crazy?
This is where the strategy fundamentally shifts. You cannot hunt individual footprints in the desert anymore. You have to introduce what is known as the hub and spoke model.
Okay, break that down for us.
If your target customers are the spokes, you need to locate the hubs. A hub is an existing ecosystem.
Like a forum or a physical location.
Exactly. Any community where your highly specific audience is already congregating in large numbers. The principle is simple. You don't build an audience from scratch. You borrow an existing one.
Oh, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like finding the one watering hole in the savannah instead of wandering the desert tracking individual footprints.
That is the perfect analogy. And the historical examples of this from the sources are incredible. Think about Netflix.
Okay.
Long before the algorithm and the streaming empire, back when they were just mailing DVDs, Corey Bridges from their founding team needed to find cinephiles with DVD players, which was a pretty rare combination in the late 90s.
Very true.
So he went into fringe, highly technical DVD web bulletin boards. He literally posed as a cinephile under a pseudonym, befriended the moderators, and participated in debates about aspect ratios and audio codecs.
Wow.
And only after he was an established insider did he start planting the seeds about this new service called Netflix months before they even launched.
He embedded himself in the exact watering hole where his ideal customers were already talking.
Exactly.
Or look at Etsy. They didn't launch by outspending eBay on Google search ads. The founders literally got off the internet, traveled to physical arts and crafts fairs every single weekend across the US and Canada.
Talk about unscalable.
Right. They bought lunch for the most influential crafters at these fairs and handed out promotional kits. They went to the physical hubs,
Yeah.
and then there's the Morning Brew business newsletter. When they started, the founders pitched their newsletter in 500-person college business lectures.
The ultimate dense hub for future business professionals.
Exactly. They would pitch to the room, pass a physical sheet of paper down the rows to collect emails, and then literally sprint back to a campus table to manually type those handwritten scribbles into their database.
It's so brilliant because passing a physical clipboard down a row creates localized social proof. You see the person next to you writing their email, so you do it too.
But communities like Reddit or Hacker News are notoriously hostile to self-promotion.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just show up at the digital watering hole and start screaming about your startup, they won't just ignore you, they will actively ban you.
Oh, they'll tear you apart.
Right. So how do you avoid looking like a spammer?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about reciprocity. You must provide real value first. You cannot just drop a link to your landing page and run. You have to genuinely participate, answer questions, and solve problems before ever mentioning your product.
You have to earn reputation capital.
Exactly. And when you do bring it up, you frame it as a continuation of the value you've already been providing. Like, hey, I kept running into this issue we've been discussing, so I built a small tool to automate it.
It requires deep authenticity. All right, so you've hustled for the first 10, you've successfully leveraged the hubs to reach 100.
Right.
Once you hit 100 customers, the game changes again. The manual hustle has to transition into repeatable growth engines. But according to the playbooks, founders often make a fatal mistake right at this inflection point.
Yes. This loops back to a severe warning from Steli FD regarding premature scaling. The psychological trap here is that a founder hits 100 customers, feels a surge of validation, and immediately abandons leaning mode for growth mode.
They raise money, pour thousands into paid ads, expand features.
Exactly. But if you do that before truly understanding why your first 100 customers actually stick around, you will scale the wrong thing. You'll burn your capital and force a highly costly pivot later.
You essentially build a massive skyscraper on a foundation of sand.
Precisely. To scale safely, you have to shift from hustling to establishing consistent, high-quality systems, which perfectly transitions us to the journey of Lenny Rachitsky.
Oh, this case study is wild.
It really is. Lenny runs one of the most successful newsletters and podcasts in the tech world, but he started it as, quote, Project Avoid Getting a Real Job. And like so many founders, he thought there was a secret hack to growth, a viral loop, or an ad strategy he just needed to uncover.
But that wasn't the case.
No. His journey from 1,000 to 10,000 subscribers was just a completely linear trend line of writing incredibly high-quality content every single week for 9 solid months.
So what does this all mean? Wait, so Lenny Rachitsky, one of the top growth experts in the world, admits his big hack was literally just doing the work consistently for 9 months.
Yes. The true hack is ruthless editing and high-quality content that fulfills a specific job to be done for the customer. But here's where perseverance unlocks inflection points.
Okay.
After 9 months of building that foundation, Substack launched a feature allowing newsletters to recommend each other. Because Lenny had proven his value, suddenly hundreds of other top-tier writers began recommending him. He hit a massive hockey stick growth curve.
Wow. So the amplifier only works if the music is actually good.
Exactly. And unlocking scale takes different forms. For DoorDash, it meant physical placement. They printed tens of thousands of flyers saying, "Get hummus delivered," and stuffed them in bags all around Stanford.
Like at the physical hug.
Yep. For Superhuman, they created highly targeted, valuable content with their famous RIP Mailbox blog post. When the Mailbox app shut down, Superhuman stepped in with empathy, captured the frustration perfectly, and drove massive waitlist signups.
It all comes back to understanding exactly what job they're hiring your product to do. This has been such an incredible roadmap, so let's pull all these threads together to fully answer the listener's question.
Let's do it.
First, define the acute pain point. Find the innovators whose daily frustration is higher than the friction of your imperfect solution.
Right.
Then, do the unscalable things, the manual scraping, the personalized outreach to get your first 10.
Just to gather that raw insight?
Exactly. Next, stop hunting individual footprints and find the hubs to reach 100. And finally, use relentless consistency and deep learning to build the repeatable engines that scale you beyond.
It's a clear progression. But, it raises a final paradigm shift for you to chew on as you build your own company.
What's that?
What if the real value of your first 100 customers isn't the money they pay you, but the fact that they're essentially your unsalaried co-founders?
Oh, wow.
Right. What if finding your first 100 customers isn't a sales campaign at all, but a massive collaborative product development exercise?
that completely changes how you look at them. You aren't pitching to them, you're building with them.
I love that. Well, we want to enthusiastically thank the listener who submitted today's topic. If you want us to deep dive into your questions, write in at tuepodcast.net/askpi.
Yes, please do.
And make sure to follow for more great startup information. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap, Scoob believers. You just experienced the power of AI-driven business insights with Pi PIET 2.0. Real advice, artificial voices, unlimited potential. If today's episode sparked an idea, challenged your thinking, or gave you that breakthrough moment, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a fellow entrepreneur who needs to hear this. Got a burning business question? Want Pi PIET to tackle your specific challenge? Head over to tuepodcast.net/askpi and submit your question right now. We'll dive deep into your issue and deliver the actionable strategies you need to get across the start line. Remember, Scoob believers, the hurdles aren't in the way. The hurdles are the way. Until next time, keep moving forward, keep taking action, and we'll see you in the next episode.